if you have increased biology in soils, you have increased nutrient uptake, you have increased pest and disease resistance, and you have increased water holding capacity for irrigation, which is awesome. And everybody sees that and they're like, wow, that's great, but you know, probably not on my farm, on my operation, you know?
Right, yeah.
And so it's like knowing how do you take that really big idea and shrink that down into something that's actionable, where somebody doesn't feel like they're getting sold the moon and they're able to really know exactly what they're buying.
You look through the scale of saying, okay, what can I split a block in, or what can I run a fertigation cycle in, and how can I compare it to something else? You know, I think a lot of the bad rap of sap testing, I want to speak positively about sap testing just for a second, because there are moments that it absolutely pays. Anytime that I can have time over time comparison, and then I can parse that with a comparison of another area that I'm also measuring the SAMP on, that I feel good about, old leaves versus new leaves. And then, you know, somebody earlier when I was discussing this idea with them, they mentioned, you know, you kind of throw it all out there unless you have knowledge of what that crop's about to do. And so you have to have a really good grip and handle on what's about to happen. And there's ways that you can only know that unless you're putting eyes on it.
Right.
And so sap testing has to be done with knowledge of what's about to happen, maybe where, you know, the season's been at, where it's going to go. And that'll allow you to kind of, you know, even look further in your GPS, if you were talking about the windshield analogy, and say, okay, I know I have a big turn coming up right here. And that sap is going to tell you that that turn's about to happen.
Tell me about that. What's that turn? Is that like a large nutrient uptake at a certain time of the season, and you know you have to prepare for that? And
yeah, I mean, that's one option, is a large uptake curve. You look at something like potassium on watermelons. You know, right here, we're looking and saying, okay, we know that this feeding cycle is about to go through the roof. Tomatoes is another big calcium, potassium uptake conversation. And so we want to get ahead of that, but a lot of times things that are immobile, like phosphates in the plant, we look at those and we say, okay, that is a really good one because it's going to get stolen from somewhere.
Right.
And it's going to be remobilized in the plant. It's got to come from somewhere. And so we want to know when that levels are draining down to sufficiency, to deficient, and we can maybe not pick that up on a tissue test, but we can pick that up on a sap test.
Right.
And so it's really hard. It's really difficult to do, doing sap testing the right way. But if you can keep that, you know, on the tracks for longer, because you'll see those symptoms come up.